All right. Good evening, everybody. And thank you for joining us for our third annual Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month panel discussion. Tonight, our theme is going to be Talk About It, Be About It. This event is something that we do every February for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, where we are able to hear from teens and from adults on their insights into teen dating violence. So last year, the theme was actually Talk About It. This year, the theme is a continuation of that, Be About It. So last year, whenever we did the Talk About It theme, we were starting these discussions around the realities of teen dating violence, because this is a very real problem. It has very real consequences, and it is escalating. So we wanted to get those conversations started last year. This year, the theme is Be About It. So, of course, we put the two together, but the Be About It is to walk away with some action items on how we can bring an end to teen dating violence. So this year, we're challenging people to take these discussions that we have started and turn those into action. So tonight, we're going to hear from our panelists on what some of those actions can look like. So let's go ahead and introduce our panelists for the evening. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Melissa Prentice. I'm the Outreach Education and Prevention Manager for Bay Area Turning Point. I've been here for about 13 years, and I am the point of contact for providing outreach services, providing education, providing prevention to create healthier and more positive and safer spaces for communities. Let's go ahead and get to our panelists. First, we have Kevin Thomas. Kevin is a 2022 honor graduate of Lake Charles College Prep in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Currently a college freshman at Grambling State University, holding a 3.5 GPA. He's also the starting defensive end for Grambling State University Tigers football team. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello.
Next, we have Ayana Moore. She's a 2022 graduate of the Lamarck High School in Lamarck, Texas. She is currently a nursing student at the College of the Mainland. She was a standout athlete all 4 years of high school. Welcome, Ayana.
Yeah.
We're very happy to have you. Next, we have Morgan Holman. Morgan Holman is an alumnus of the University of Houston, both the Maine and Clear Lake campuses. Morgan has a master's degree in marriage and family therapy and is currently working on becoming a fully licensed therapist. She has been married for a little over 3 years and has a 16-year-old bonus son. Thank you, Morgan.
Everybody.
And Morgan is also our manager of advocacy and counseling in Chambers County. And last but certainly not least, we have Katisha Cheney. A native of Texas, Katisha is a licensed master social worker who graduated from the University of Houston with a specialization in health and behavioral health. A published author, Katisha creates content on subjects such as healthy relationships and mental health for teens and adults. As the manager of advocacy and counseling for our Harris County office, Katisha's goal is to continue advocating to end domestic and sexual violence. In her downtime, she enjoys spending time with her family and teenage children, traveling and attending her children's sports events. Welcome, Katisha. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. The way this is going to work is we've come up with a list of questions, and I'm just going to kind of direct questions to people randomly. Some are specific to adults, some are specific to teens, and some are geared towards both. So some of these questions I'm going to have all of you answer, and then some are going to be directed at specific people. Again, just doing this at random. I'm not picking on anybody, but if I do ask a question and somebody else has something to chime in, please feel free to. First question, and I'm going to gear this towards Ayana and Kevin. What does teen dating violence look like to you?
You can go first.
To me, teen dating violence, to me, it's like two young people dating, and it's a lot of physical and emotional damage, like abuse or verbal abuse. Because when you're young, I feel like you get so caught up in, like, you feel like you know what love is, and you get so attached, and sometimes that becomes verbal or sometimes physical. It depends how serious the situation gets.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I would say now in this generation, it's a lot of manipulation and controlling. And I don't know, he basically said everything I would have said, basically, just to sum it up, just a lot of abuse and controlling manipulation.
All right. So that kind of leads into the second question. And Kevin, I'm going to let you answer this one as well as Morgan. What does an unhealthy relationship look like? So this can be, what does it sound like? What does it feel like? Think about how the person who's on the receiving end of the teen dating violence is feeling. Are they feeling hurt? Are they, how do they act around people? What does this look like to you, an unhealthy relationship?
Okay, I'll go first. So for the person who is in the unhealthy relationship, the one who is the victim on the victim side, it can look like feeling like they have a lack of control, a lack of a voice, feeling like confusion. Um, their emotions can be all over the place, not knowing exactly what's right and what's wrong. Verbal abuse, mental abuse, a lot of mental abuse, um, and emotional abuse. There could be some physical and verbal as well. But I think that that's what it usually looks like, and abusers usually use the same tactics all across the board. An abuser there's a stereotypical abuser, not in appearance but in tactics, and so it can look like gaslighting, definitely making the victim feel like what they're thinking or what they're saying if they try to defend themselves is wrong, or like the abuser hasn't been doing anything wrong to them at all. So that's why I say it can be very confusing for the victim, because they don't know whether or not to believe themselves or to believe the abuser. And then fear, because they don't know who to turn to. And oftentimes the abuser will tell them not to say anything to anybody, or to keep their relationship private and not to say anything to anybody else.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with Morgan. I feel like it's a lot of verbal and physical abuse, and I feel like an unhealthy relationship is when y'all are arguing and the person doesn't care about making it up. Like they just like it's just a whole lot of arguing, and you can just tell like they don't care anymore, and they should get out of the relationship. And I also feel like an unhealthy relationship is when y'all can't communicate with each other, and once you get to that point, like it's not a relationship anymore. Like if y'all can't communicate with each other.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. So
I'm
kind of
Melissa, can I add to that really quick before we move to the next question? So I also wanted to say that an unhealthy relationship can also look like isolation, right? So not only keeping the relationship private, but also isolating you from like your friends, right? Trying to keep you away from certain family, or if you're going to a sporting event together, right? Having you sit like by yourself, you can't sit with this group of friends, right? So isolating you from people and things that you care about is also another form of an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the red flags of teen dating violence is extreme jealousy and possessiveness. Mm-hmm. So Ayana, I'm going to have you answer this one. How can you tell if someone just admires you or if they are dangerously possessive?
You can kind of tell off their actions and what they do, really. Yeah, like actions. I don't really know how to explain it more other than that, but mainly the actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just want to, whenever you said that, I immediately, and this is not a show that I've actually watched, but it made me think about that show that's on Netflix, and it's called You. And it's themed around this guy who apparently, because I have to go look up the synopsis for it, but the guy is apparently like really in love with this author or something, and he basically like manipulates the situation to where he can like be with her. And so he's manipulating other relationships and doing all of these things in order to get, I guess, to get her to notice him and to be with him and all that stuff. And so I feel like that's one way that's more than admiration, right? That's beyond admiration. If you're feeling like somebody has to manipulate your relationships or manipulate your, I don't know, your job, your classes, or whatever that may look like in order to be with you, like, oh, I'm going to be in every class that you're in. My assumption is that he was in every place that she was in, or every place she was at. And so I think that admiration and versus the other there's a pretty thin line there could be whenever, because admiration looks like a respect versus the stalking that I've seen or that I've heard about in that show You. Like, again, I haven't seen it. I don't know if y'all have seen it. Have y'all ever seen that Netflix show You?
I've heard about it, but yeah.
You heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't have Netflix, so I haven't seen it, but I have heard about it. Well, and I'm actually glad that y'all brought that up, especially whenever you were talking about classes, because both of you are in college currently, and we do see this happen in college as well. So, and sorry, this is kind of me throwing a question in there. How are ways that you think somebody can remain safe on campus if they're experiencing dating violence?
So can I back up for a second? Mm-hmm. So we talked about some of it, like what it sounds like, looks like, and feels like, right? But when we think about how do we know it's like possessive, right? Or where it becomes that it's extremely unhealthy, right? So if we think about teens in a setting at the school, we know that it leaves the door open to where the abuser may be like, I'm going to meet you outside of every class. I'm going to make sure you go to your next class. You're not talking to anyone at your next class, right? When the school bell rings, you better meet me by the staircase, right? Like those kind of things, right? Or when I call you at 6 o'clock at night, answer your phone when I call you, right? So those are some of the actions when, Ayana, you're like, I can't put a name to it, but I know that there's things that happen, right? Like these are some of the things that happen to let us know that this is possessive. Like every night I call you, if I call you back to back, every 30 minutes, every hour, you better answer your phone, right? Or if I text you and you're eating dinner, why didn't you answer me, right? Like, so those kind of things are things that we know that like, okay, this is out of hand, right? Like this is not healthy.
Yeah. So did that kind of jog your memories a little bit? Because I mean, I know it is hard to put this stuff in words, but I'd like to hear from y'all. Like, if you knew of somebody going through this on campus, like, what could you do to help them remain safe?
I feel like one thing that you can do is contact the campus police, because at every campus they have police, and you can talk about it and what's been going on with your situation, or you can just ask them to follow a restraining order on the person. And I mean, if they don't abide by the restraining order, then they're gonna be in even more trouble. So, like, there's nothing they can really do if you place a restraining order on them, or talk to the campus police to keep a watch on you or keep a watch on him to make sure that you're safe.
Yeah, excellent. And for things like domestic violence and sexual assault, it's better to get a protective order over a restraining order. Of course, you would need police backup for that, but a protective order actually has criminal consequences. So, and that is specific to things like domestic violence and sexual assault. But yeah, that's excellent. That is some excellent advice right there. Definitely get the campus police involved. Can y'all think of anything else?
I would say sometimes just like walk with them places or invite them over to where like your place or somewhere to a family member's house that he wouldn't or she wouldn't know. And yeah, just I say maybe keep some mace or something with you to protect yourself. But yeah, just helping them out, being with them.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely want a support system.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll kind of keep coming back to that as we go through more questions. So on the other side of this, and I will direct this towards, who did I direct the last? I'll do, let's have Ayana and Katisha answer this one. So we just talked about what does an unhealthy relationship look like, feel like, sound like. What about a healthy relationship? How is a person going to feel in a healthy relationship?
Ayana, I'll let you answer first.
That they can be free without, being controlled. There's trust, communication. Yeah, like y'all just enjoy yourself. There's no really, like, there may be arguments. Of course, there's going to be disagreements, but it's mainly just you can be free. You can go hang out with friends. Yeah, just.
That was good, Ayana. So to add to that, I like that you said, of course, there is going to be disagreements, right? Yes, in any relationship, there's disagreements. But what makes a healthy disagreement is that we listen to each other to understand, right? And then we're respecting the other person's thoughts or opinions, right? So that's part of being in a healthy relationship. Feeling safe, feeling like you're heard, right? And then also having healthy boundaries. So when we talked about like someone meeting you at the staircase, right? No, we know that's not a thing. Like we should be able to go through our school day and then I'll see you at the end of my school day or we'll talk later tonight, right? So having those healthy boundaries. And then there's like no name calling, right? No verbal abuse, no psychological abuse, right? So that's components of a healthy relationship.
Excellent. And Ayana, I love what you said, that you feel free.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to be able to feel that kind of freedom and not be walking on eggshells. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely love that you said that. Okay. So let's see, where am I at? Why might a teen stay in an unhealthy relationship? And I'll let Ayana and Kevin both answer this one.
Can you repeat that?
Why might a teenager
Can you repeat that question one more time?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I just couldn't understand like what you were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why might a teenager stay in an unhealthy relationship, or anybody?
Attachment, most likely. They don't know anybody else. They don't want to start over. Yeah, that's the only person they've been with probably like over 2 years. So they just don't want to just go off to anybody else. Yeah, emotional damage. Yeah. The main thing is attachment, I would say, for this generation.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree with Ayana. I feel like a lot of teens get attached easy because, like, when we're young, we really don't know what love is. We just think we know what it is. So they get attached fast. And also, like, going back to, like, physical abuse, like, they might be scared to leave. Like, they might feel like if they leave, it might get even worse, or it might never end. So they might as well stay in a relationship. Like a lot of people are scared to ask for help nowadays. They rather just deal with it themselves. So people might just be scared to leave.
Yeah.
I also wanted to add, they might not have. They might not have anybody to go to, no family members, no friends, no shoulder to lean on. So all they can do really is just stay. And if they try to leave, that's when more abuse happens. And most abusers always say, if you go to the police, your life, da 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 da. So they just be scared, and it just takes a while to leave out of that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all have very valid points there. And Katisha and Morgan, kind of to add to that, do you really see it being easier to leave an unhealthy relationship as an adult?
Absolutely not. No. Absolutely not, right? Like adults, some of the same things that you all both said are things that are present in adult relationships as well, right? It's not just in teen relationships. And to add to that, when we think about, I know, Kevin, you talked about like the physical aspect of it, right? And y'all are talking about fear. But also, if you think about somebody that's been verbally abused, right? So we know that when you're verbally abused, your self-esteem decreases, right? You don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that you're worthy of. And because of that, you tend to stay in the relationship as well, right? Like you get told that if you leave, no one else is going to want you, right? I'm the only person that wants you, right? And we tend to believe the things that are told to us. And that is another factor of why people stay. And it's just as difficult for adults as it is for teens to get out of unhealthy relationships. Yes. Even with all the experience we have under our belt, right? Like with all of my 40 years, I'm gonna throw it out there, right? Like still, if I was in that type of relationship, it would still be hard just because of the mental stress that it causes, right? Yeah. And all of the other components with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Katisha said. The way the mind works, we don't know. Sometimes we think we know what we would do in a situation like that, even as adults, but we don't all the time. And also, what I wanted to say is, if you're a teen who's been in an unhealthy relationship and you continue to go through unhealthy relationships into adulthood, you've been conditioned to stay in an unhealthy relationship because you probably don't know what a healthy relationship looks like, especially if you've grown up in a home where domestic violence was prevalent. Then you don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. So I don't think adding numbers to your life changes anything. I think it's hard all across the board. It doesn't get easier. But I definitely believe that when you stay in an unhealthy relationship, then you mimic that in your adulthood if you don't heal from it and learn about healthy boundaries and what healthy relationships look like.
Thank you. So I'm going to kind of switch gears here a little bit and talk about technology. So this is going to be for everybody. I'll kind of call on y'all to go, but as we know, we're living in a digital age right now. Now, whenever Katisha, Morgan, and myself were growing up, we didn't really have all of the social media stuff. Mm-hmm. But even in adult relationship, like older people that are dating, like we see the impact that technology and social media has had. So I want to hear from everybody how you feel social media has impacted dating, the impact that it does have on dating. So I'm going to start with Ayana.
I feel as though most teens in this generation, they'll see like the celebrity couples or just see just any couple on social media and they'll just want to be like them. So they'll try to put their relationship how theirs is and it can affect it. Or they'll just see like, oh, this person is doing this, so now I want to do this. And it just overturns the relationship. And I feel like it has a big impact on teens because like just the stuff that we see or hear is just, oh, now we want to do this. So it's just, it has a big impact on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Kevin, what's your thoughts on it?
I agree with Ayana. A lot of people, especially our age, try to like look on social media and expect that out of their relationship, when in reality, even the people the celebrities and like they let you see what they want you to see. Like not everything you see is what it is. So you never really know what's happening in the background and stuff like that. And also I feel like social media can be negative because a lot of people are jealous nowadays. So if they're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram and they see their significant other under somebody else's likes, they wouldn't like that because they start to compare themselves to the people that you're liking and then they'll talk to themselves and be like, dang, is that what he likes or is that what she likes? And they try to become something that they're not, resulting in it getting even worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's causing a lot of insecurities.
Right.
Those are excellent responses. Thank you. All right, Katisha, what you got?
And I was just gonna say, like, Kevin was in my head because he said some of the things that I was gonna say, right? Talking about jealousy, comparison, right? Comparing ourselves to celebrities or to other teenagers, right? Or other relationships. What about people's feelings getting hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going in and I'm checking and I'm seeing every time I log into my friends page, you're liking, you're on every comment, you're hearting everything, right? So it also leaves that room to create conflict and arguments, right? Because of me going on TikTok or me going on Facebook and liking Morgan's every post, Morgan post, right? I'm on it, liking every post, right? So I think a lot of the things that Kevin said, and then also being able to use social media as well. You have your DMs, right? So sliding in your DMs, being able to use that as a platform to verbally abuse, right? To send ugly messages, right? So I think that's another component of that. But yeah, I don't know, Morgan, what do you have to add?
So I was thinking, yes, definitely with the comparisons. Comparison is the thief of joy. So, and we all know that that's even outside of relationships when you're thinking about other things. When you compare yourself to somebody else, you instantly become, your self-esteem lowers. But social media is a filter. Most social media has like, I know Snapchat has all the filters and things like that, and so does Instagram. I don't know what Facebook's doing right now, but almost every social media platform has a filter. And when you think about influencers now, and I'm not knocking down influencers, I know that there are some great ones out there, but one thing that I came across was that some of these influencers who were couples, and they're doing the funny stuff, they're doing all the little trends and things like that, and I know of at least 3 of them that came up, that popped up and showed up on my my social media feed, that were in abusive relationships, that they had broken up because behind the scenes there was things that was going on. And so, and whether it was whether whoever the perpetrator was, the person who was the victim would come out and tell their story. And so that was enlightening. That was like, okay, yes, we don't have to hide it. That was one good thing about social media that I feel like is that they are coming out and saying, like, this is real. Don't believe the filters. Don't believe the smiles that you just see, because this is this and this is what was going on after the camera was turned off. The things that you didn't see. So I do see there's some good things for social media. They show that, like, no, not all happy relationships are happy. And so I think that the influencers, some of them are being helpful. Some of the social media influencers are being pretty harmful, but that's not to say that social media is all the way bad in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and I mean, social media definitely has its benefits, but you know, it has its downfalls too. So thank y'all.
I'm so sorry that I lost my train of thought for one moment. I wanted to bring up the fact that that's also a component of control. Passwords. Right. I'm just going to use myself as an example. I don't know my husband's passwords. I don't have any interest to know his passwords or anything like that. But we have access to each other's phones. We just pick it up and use it or whatever. You know, that's been our healthy relationship. Right. But social media now, with some teens, some young adults, it's, let me have all of your passwords. Let me see what you're doing on your phone. Let me log in and let me see what you're doing on your phone. Let me see who you're talking to. So I know y'all had mentioned seeing, you know, likes and hearts and comments and things like that, but also going on the inside and seeing that. So I think that social media, that platform, can also be a form of control.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely is a control mechanism. You know, some of the other things to keep in mind, you know, especially if somebody's trying to leave, people can use social media to try to stalk them, because I know, and I'm personally pretty bad about this, but I like to check in where I'm at. I like people seeing where I'm at. And if I had somebody that I was trying to get away from, but I'm constantly checking in, even if I have them blocked, that does not go to say that somebody can't screenshot my post and send it to them. So it doesn't matter. Like, yes, block. If you have an unhealthy relationship with somebody, block them. But that doesn't always mean that they're blocked from seeing what you're doing. So it's good to keep everything private.
And then Melissa, to add to that too, also like not even having like the location like through your social media, but also sharing your location on your phone, right? Like, why in the world do you need to be tracking me wherever I'm going, right? So that's another thing, like sharing your location with me. And then if you turn your location off, then it's a whole argument, right? If you turn your location off. So that's another piece when we talk about social media and technology.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Any final thoughts on the social media before I move on? All right. Moving right along. Ayana, if you knew of somebody going through a relationship or an unhealthy relationship, teen dating violence, would you be able to speak up about it? And if so, what would you tell that person? Or how would you go about it?
I would try to give advice. I am the type to always give advice, like to family members or friends that I see going through it. But I feel as though I really can just only go with advice because not everybody's going to listen. People are still going to make their own choices. So, really, all you can do is try to help as much as you can and just see if they'll take it or not. But I don't know, it gets to a point like I will keep like giving advice, keep giving advice until like you asking me to give you advice, but then you're not taking it. So it's like most of the time I will kind of stop because I just don't want to keep giving advice just for them not to take it. So it just gets frustrating at that point. But I would help out. I would contact the police or anybody to try to help them out though.
Okay. What kind of advice do you think you would give?
I would kind of say like seek like the police. Try to tell them that I'm there, support them throughout whatever decision they make. Won't judge them. They can always come to me, and I can be their shoulder to lean on. And yeah.
Awesome. All right, Kevin, what about you? If you knew of somebody going through a teen dating violence relationship, would you speak up? And if so, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would speak up and I would just tell them to either try to deal with it and like talk to the person to see if like they can have like a serious like heart to heart conversation, because I mean they might like really love this person and really want to like work it out with that person, and sometimes people do change, and if it just continues I would also tell them to like talk to the police, or you can talk to family members or like anybody like that, and I would just let them know that you can talk to me and I'll like let them know and reassure them that like I'm somebody that won't judge you, like Ayana said, and somebody that will give as much advice as I can. And I mean that's just up to them if they can take it or not.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad that y'all would both speak up if you saw this happening, because a lot of people are afraid to speak up. So it's good that you'd be willing to speak up for sure. Why do you think it's hard to get out of an abusive relationship, Morgan?
Fear. I think that fear of retaliation, because in an abuser will threaten, because it's all about power and control. Mm-hmm. And so any kind of scary thing, any kind of threat that they can make that they know that they can use against the victim, they will use it. And so that could cause some hesitancy on the victim's part to leave an abusive relationship. Fear causes all of us to do things that we never thought that we would do, right? Mm-hmm. And especially when you have families and things, you're not thinking about yourself all the time, right? Like he or she is threatening your family, or fear of the retaliation side of posting pictures, private things, private text messages, things that were consensual or non-consensual, but they were there. That's not the point. It's that it was there, right? So there's fear of that retaliation, I believe, as well. Also, we talked a little bit ago about the isolation. Like, okay, where do I go? Who do I turn to? What am I going to do? Fear of parents being upset with them. And yeah, I think that that's it. And also, we did talk a little bit about the fact that we can become conditioned to staying with somebody. Conditioning is real, so it could keep us there. Our mind works in weird, mysterious ways sometimes, and it happens.
And I think to add, go ahead, Melissa.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that. So I think victim blaming, right, is another reason that people don't leave unhealthy relationships, right? Because they don't want to be the reason why the relationship was abusive, right? They're being told or thinking that they're going to be told that it's their fault of why they got abused. And we know that that's not the case. But I think victim blaming is another reason.
Yeah. Ayana, what's your thoughts on it?
Can you ask the question one more time? Sorry, I'm kind of.
It's okay. Why do you think it's so hard for a teen to leave an unhealthy relationship? And we kind of talked about it earlier, but I mean, there are barriers to people leaving. I know we said attachment. Katisha and Morgan just gave some great examples. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, one thing that Morgan has said, like, with your family being in danger too, like, if you try to go to one of them now, they'll be in danger and their life will be at risk. And most of the time, a lot of teens have kids as well. So that can kind of, like, be hard for them to leave because y'all have two kids together. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Oh, that's a great point.
That is.
Like, I didn't even think about that, but that is very, very true. Having children with an abuser at any age is hard, but I feel like it's even harder whenever you're a teenager, right? Because like money, resources, and things like that. And so that's huge. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Kevin, I do have a question specific for you. So being a football player, this is kind of revolving around that. I don't know if y'all have seen, but there's been a lot in the news over the years of sports players in general being abusive towards their spouses. What would you do if you saw a teammate verbally or physically abusing their partner?
Me personally, if I seen that, I would pull them aside and I would like talk to them and let them know like what they're doing is wrong, and if they keep doing it, like it's gonna catch up to you if it doesn't already catch up to you already, because a lot of people are scared to talk, but if you're doing it out in public, I mean, they might not even need to do that because somebody else is gonna speak up for it, and especially if it's abusive, like I would just let them know that that's not cool, and they really need I don't know if they need to talk to somebody or get some help, but I would most definitely like take them aside and like check them, because I wouldn't do it in public in front of everybody, even though, I mean, if I was to do it, I mean, I wouldn't be wrong, but like you never know what goes on behind closed doors. You never know what they might be going through, or him personally, what he might be going through. And sometimes like not all the time, but sometimes like people do stuff and egg people on for that to happen. Like especially like professionals, they like, it's a lot of people that like want that to happen so they can get money out of it. So I would just like talk to them and let them know like you need to learn how to control your emotions and not let it build up.
That's an excellent point, which kind of brings me to another question that I'm going to bump up since you brought that up. So if if you do experience somebody dealing with anger in a non-healthy manner, what are some coping mechanisms? Because we know that anger is an emotion. We know that anger is a very normal emotion. We know that everybody experiences anger and not everybody gets violent to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So what are some healthy coping mechanisms for anger?
I feel like you should just talk to somebody. Like, you just need to talk to somebody, if it's a family member, a therapist, a teammate, because I mean, in football, you're around your teammates 24/7. Like, you're really, like, you're not apart. So if you can find a good teammate to talk to, or a family member, or a coach, like, because coaches in football is like our parents. I mean, we see them more than our parents. So I mean, and I feel like most coaches care about a player to where they can sit down and have conversations with them, or point them in a direction of somebody that can help them with their like bring their emotions out to where it's not all bottled up and it just explodes on somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Ayana, what do you think? What are some healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with anger?
Yeah, basically what he said, trying to pull somebody aside to talk to. You can also go talk to somebody that's going through the same thing. It'll probably be easier because they'll understand you better. Yeah, coaches, therapists. You can try to journal your thoughts down. Yeah.
Okay. So what do y'all personally do?
I mean, me personally, I'm not an angry person, so like I really can't say nothing, to be honest.
Okay.
But I mean, if it did get to that point, I mean, I have a lot of supportive family members that I can talk to, or teammates, or coaches. I mean, I have a good circle around me, so I feel like it wouldn't be hard to talk to somebody if I really needed to.
Awesome. What about you, Ayana?
I've tried a lot of things that didn't really work out, like therapy, writing my thoughts down. So I most of the time, honestly, like I keep it in because like I don't want to go to somebody and then like they don't really understand like what I'm going through because they haven't been through the same thing. So most of the time, I just keep it in. Or like, there's been times I've tried to like vent to friends or something, and like it just like turned back on me or something. Like, so so most of the time I just kept it bottled up or just cry it out really. But not a lot of things really work for me. But I'm getting better with it though.
Yeah, and crying is actually a very good coping mechanism. It's a good way to release your emotions. I don't know about y'all. I throw headphones on my head and I go for a run. I don't look like I run, but I do. I throw on my angry music and I go run. That's how I deal with anger. And I feel better once I'm done. But there's so many different ways to deal with anger that don't result in violent behaviors. Morgan, what do you do whenever you're angry?
Still learning. It depends on what has made me mad. And Ayana, I want to thank you for being so open and honest about that, because you're right. Not all of the techniques, as a therapist, I can say, and sometimes it's embarrassing to say, but it's true. Not all of the techniques that are out there work. And you do have to find what works best for you. And it may be something totally unconventional, just as long as it's safe, right? But finding out what works for you. For me, it honestly depends on what and who has made me angry. And anger is a secondary emotion. So usually, depending on what the situation is, I'm thinking about, okay, so why am I so mad? Why am I angry right now? What's behind this? Like, was I disrespected? Did I feel unheard? Did I feel unappreciated? So I'm thinking, I try my best. I'm nowhere near perfect at this at all, y'all. Sometimes I slam doors, cabinet doors, and then, like if I'm washing dishes or I'm like really scrubbing a pot real hard, real clean. right?
You're an anger cleaner.
Yeah, they're really clean. That's the best time to get me mad is when I'm washing dishes, and I like to wash dishes. All right, so that's really therapeutic for me.
You want
But
to come to my house and clean my dishes?
no, no. I like cleaning my kitchen. All right, but yeah, sometimes I try to focus my anger. Like I try to sit there and think about, okay, what is it behind my anger? Because being mad is one thing and being angry is another.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really trying to think when I'm mad, it's usually something surface like, yes, I'm mad at this, right? Whenever I'm angry, it turns into exerting it onto somebody who doesn't deserve it, or like the cabinet door that I just slammed that doesn't deserve it. Like I'm not solving the problem in any way, shape, or form. The cabinet didn't do anything. Like I didn't smash my finger on the cabinet and then I just like slammed it, right? That wasn't it at all. Like, so I know I'm not mad. I'm angry. So I have to think about what made me angry. What am I feeling? So like I said, I ain't got no real routine right now. It's really just thinking about it, like talking through it sometimes. And sometimes stopping and taking a deep breath does actually help. Or grounding can help. But like I said, it depends on what it is.
Also to
Can I
add on
add
that,
something? Yeah.
also you can also get like an emotional support pet, because a lot of people have like dogs for even depression, like everything. Get like a dog or a cat or whatever pet that you want to cope with your anger, because I know dogs for sure, like you can do anything to a dog and they'll come right back and love on you. So I mean, I feel like if you get a pet that can calm you down, because pets always want to be all up on you and love on you.
You just touched my soul with that one, because everybody that knows me knows that I love my puppy. He's not a puppy. He's old and now, but no, he's actually great. Like if I'm feeling down, he knows. Mm-hmm. That's whenever he comes and snuggles with Mama. Ayana, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I wanted to say like I can also go to my mom when she's not busy. Well, even when she is, she still supports me. But even if like the advice she gives me, most of the stuff that she's already been through. So even if I don't like the advice most of the time, I know she's telling the truth, and that also helps me.
Awesome. Katisha, did you go before I move on to the next?
No, I didn't. But I think for me, when I'm angry, I tend to like isolate myself. So I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to be in the same room as anyone. And I may kind of just like listen to music or something like that. I do go back and assess, like Morgan said, like what made me angry, like how did I get to this point, right? And how I could have reacted differently, right? So I do that, but yeah, for the most part, it's isolating myself and just like taking a minute for me to like self-regulate and calm myself down, so I don't project on anyone else. And I also want to circle back to Ayana. You said that like I tried the therapist, it didn't work, right? And I just want to point out that not every therapist is for you, right? So you may not be a match with that one therapist, but there may be another therapist out there for you. So I highly encourage you, if that is something that you were seeking out to do, or any of the teens are seeking out to do, to know that it's okay to go through multiple therapists until you find a therapist that you mesh with, right? Because we are human. We all have different personalities, different backgrounds, different experiences, right? And it's like, everybody doesn't work for everyone, right? The same way our coping skills, like the coping skills Morgan and Melissa have, may not work for me, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there, that it's okay that if a therapist didn't work, but don't let that be your end all be all, because you may connect with another therapist.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so true.
Awesome. Okay, so kind of going off of something that Ayana just said, that you can go talk to your mom because she's been through these things. That is a piece of advice that we do like to tell young people, is go to a trusted adult, because not everybody, but a lot of us have we've seen this stuff before. Like we kind of know the right direction to point people in. I'm saying we, I mean, like me, Morgan, Katisha, and some people that have been through this kind of stuff or work in this kind of stuff every day. So my question to Ayana and Kevin are, what are some things that you feel parents should be teaching their kids about teen dating violence and healthy relationships?
I feel like one.
I feel as
You can go.
you can go. Um, yeah, one is to always speak up, reach out, to never like let them take your confidence away. It's okay to go through those things. It's okay to not be able to leave so quickly, but just never let them just take control of your life. And yeah, I'm still trying to think. So
That's
Kevin
okay.
can go.
I would say some things I feel like parents should teach their kids is to not get so attached too fast, because some people show you a side of them, like some people show you a side of them way later in a relationship that you never knew. Like a lot of people say like while you're dating, it's so like happy and peaceful and all that, and once you get married you see a whole different side of somebody that you. So I feel like parents should tell their kids, don't get attached too fast. Like make sure like you really know like who you're with. And I'll also like I'll also I also feel like parents should tell their kids to not be afraid to speak up, and not be afraid to speak up to them, because I mean all the parents that I know, like most of them would die for their kids. So I feel like they shouldn't be scared of what the boyfriend or girlfriend says, like they're gonna do if they tell or this and that, because like most parents, like they're gonna protect their kids with everything they have in them. So I feel like they shouldn't be scared to speak up. So I feel like parents should let their kids know, like no matter what your significant other says, always speak up, because if they do it one time, they might not do it for a while, but if they do it once, they'll do it again, especially if they got away with it. So I feel like the first time you should stop it and let somebody know and leave.
Absolutely.
I love, love, love that you said if they do it one time and it doesn't happen for a while. I like love that you said that, because we know that that is what the cycle of violence looks like, right? That goes back to where you said that happy, where you're just so happy at first and then they're a completely different person, right? So it's that honeymoon phase where we're lovey-dovey, right? And then we're going right over into like the violence. So I appreciate you saying that, because that is very important and that is very much part of the cycle.
Absolutely. Okay, so this one is for Morgan and Katisha. So I'm gonna dig into your lives a little bit. I'm gonna be nosy like I always am. Whenever you were teenagers, were you allowed to date?
Oh, that's it? Okay.
No,
You're going to ask something else.
No, there's a follow-up.
Okay. So yes, I was.
Okay.
I was not, and I did it behind my mom's back.
That was going to be one of the follow-ups. If you were not allowed to. Did you anyways? So what are some of the conversations that your parents had with you about dating? And I'm assuming these are going to look completely different, since Katisha, you were not allowed to date, and Morgan, you were.
Mm-hmm. So I'll go, Morgan. So for me, it was just like a thing. And I don't know that I even until like today, I don't even know that understand why it was a thing. I just know that my mom was like, no. So I grew up in a single parent household. And I knew that my mom, the conversation was, no, you're not going to date. You're too young. You don't need to be worried about a boyfriend. That was the conversation. I couldn't have people over, right? Talking on the phone, those kind of things. So it was pretty much like, no, you're not going to date. And like, that's what I said. So I did it behind her back.
My mom, she would say stuff like, you don't need to be worried about no boyfriend right now, right? She did let me date. Like she wasn't, I mean, we weren't going anywhere because we used to say, oh, back then it wasn't dating. The word was, oh, me and him are going out. And going out meant that you were boyfriend and girlfriend. And so my mom would say, going out, going where? Y'all can't drive. Y'all not going anywhere. And so she always would talk to us about like what it meant to be going out. But one thing that my mom really taught us a lot was like self-esteem. Now I know Ayana and Kevin, y'all don't know me. Katisha, Melissa do. They know how full of confidence I am. And I get that from my mom. And my mom is not the type of person to be direct and talk about sex and dating and things like that. It was insinuated mostly. And when it came to dating violence, which whenever I was growing up wasn't necessarily a thing. But whenever it came to that, her way of doing it was talking about like how great we were. She talked us up. She made us feel like whatever we wore, whatever we did in school was like really great. And so that nobody could come along and make us feel less than. And so that was her way. I see it now. Then she was just mom. A single parent household as well. So she's like just doing the best she can. But now I see it as like, oh, this is how I am the way I am now. I didn't have to sneak around, but we weren't going anywhere. Like I said, we couldn't go nowhere. We weren't driving. So us dating was just at school for the most part, just at school and talking on the phone. That was it. That was the extent of our dating relationship.
Awesome. Well, and the reason why I wanted to ask these questions is to kind of show the viewers who are tuning into this the difference between the conversations parents are having now with their kids versus the conversations our parents had with us whenever we were kids. So looking back at how the conversations you had with your parents, Morgan and Tisha, how has that influenced how you talk to your teenagers now?
Want me to go? So I can go. So I think for me, so I feel like there's a lack of education, right? So like we weren't talking about domestic violence the way we're talking about domestic violence today, right? So I think that was a piece of why it was just like, no, you're not going to do it. And that's it, right? Today with my kids, so I have 4 children, 2 young adults, and then I have a 14 and a 16-year-old. So I talk to my kids about everything. I make sure that there's a safe space that they know that they can come to me. One of my kids has had a girlfriend, right? And there was a breakup, right? But it was an unhealthy relationship. So having those conversations of this is unhealthy, right? Because it was some of the things that we mentioned earlier, right? The text message, why you didn't answer the phone, or feeling like you have to fall asleep 3:00 in the morning to get up and go to school at 6, right? Like on the phone, right? So having those conversations about what an unhealthy relationship looks like, feels like, sounds like, right? And then also letting them know like what the side effects are of being in a healthy relationship and how it affects you mentally, and your self-esteem, your self-worth, right? And just making sure that they are are a voice for other teenagers who may not have the same support that they have, because we do know that not every teen has a safe space to go to. So I've had my children come to me and say, hey, my friend is in an abusive relationship, right? Like, what do I do? And it was literally like making the phone call to the parent, right? So I think just letting them know, and then having them to be a voice for other teens who don't have the support and aren't, don't feel like they can speak up, right? Or are scared to speak out.
Awesome. And I'm glad that y'all said that. And so kind of circling back to Ayana and Kevin, what are some conversations, and y'all don't have to go into detail, but have y'all had these conversations with your parents? And what advice would you give other parents as to what you feel like you should know at a young age? And I mean, I know y'all are in college, but I mean, I'm talking back to middle school. What are some things you wish would have known then? Or what teenagers in general, what are some things you feel like they need to know at that age?
I feel like
Okay.
Teenagers should know, like I said earlier, like, don't get attached too early, because I mean, we are still young, and most of the times those relationships are just play relationships, like it's nothing really serious. So because like nowadays it's a lot of young kids like even killing themselves over like relationships, when it's like you got all this life to live, like, and you most likely wasn't gonna be with that person in the long run anyway, because y'all are so young. But I never really had that type of conversation with my parents, because like I was always brought up just to respect women and respect everybody, period. So they never really had to like sit me down and have that type of conversation with me, because they knew the type of person I was, and they knew that like I wouldn't ever do that to anybody. So
Awesome. Thank you. Ayana, do you have input?
And with me, I feel as though parents should tell their kids like what they went through at our age, because you can learn from them from what they've been through. And my mom has been through some stuff, and I wouldn't want to go through those same things. So I've learned from it. And also when I see like just red flags from I'm talking to, I just leave them right there. I don't keep it going, because I just feel as though parents should let their kids know when they get to that point, like what they went through and what they don't want to go through. So.
I also want to say, I feel like parents nowadays need to talk to their kids about not trying to date somebody that hangs around with the wrong crowd, because nowadays there's a lot of young people that has access to guns and that really do bad stuff outside of school, like, because like I'm pretty sure back in the day nobody was really doing that at that young of an age, and now it's so many people because it's not really a lot to do. I mean, it's either you play sports or play games. If you don't do that, it's like they just want to be what they see, like a lot of rappers, or like just what they see on social media, like they just want to be like this person or that person, and that could get real serious if you think on them, especially dating them, and y'all go somewhere and you just the person that was at the wrong place at the wrong time. So I would definitely feel like a parent should like talk to their kids about hanging around with the wrong crowds, especially dating somebody in the wrong crowd, because it's only getting younger now.
And Kevin, you just brought up a really good. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I also want to say in this generation, there's a lot of peer pressure, so they will force you into doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing, but because these are your friends and you want to be cool and fit in, that peer pressure really just kicks in to when you know the right thing, but it's just you want to be cool, so you just give in.
Those are good points. And I think too, so we talk about the healthy relationship, right? A healthy dating relationship, but any relationship should be a healthy relationship, right? So even with our peers, right? With our family, right? So I think some of the things that Kevin mentioned, like hanging out with the wrong crowd. So if our peers, those relationships with our peers are unhealthy, then no, like we should not be in that space, right? So I think that was a great point to bring up. And then thinking about peer pressure and what that looks like on us in our relationships. So good point, guys.
Yeah, and you both brought up a very good point with the peer pressure and looking at media and how they're acting. You know, a lot of musicians are talking about things like drugs and guns and cheating and things like that. How, I want to hear from Ayana and Kevin on this one. How do you think we can challenge that? Because that is part of preventing violence, is not promoting it as something that's entertaining. So how do you challenge that?
I feel like you should just be the one to stand out. Just be the one to try to change it and speak out on it. And like the people that you hang around, try to fill them up with enough, like with a lot of knowledge, and let them know like you shouldn't be doing this and that and stuff like that. I feel like you should just talk to everybody and just try to be different, try to like stand alone and be a leader. And normally, like if you like normally people will follow, and then it's just a trickle effect. Like everybody is gonna eventually try to hop on your boat. But I feel like you should just be the one to like break apart from them and just be a leader and try to get people to follow you.
I like it. What do you think, Ayana?
He basically said everything I was gonna say. Yeah, he basically said everything I was gonna say. Be that one, give out advice, and just help. Yeah, be a leader, and just try to make change. Some will listen, some won't. But eventually, if you just keep speaking, it'll change. Listen.
Excellent advice. Excellent, excellent. So how would you suggest that we create more leaders? This one's open to everybody.
I feel like you should just encourage being different, encourage like not being like scared to stand alone, not being scared to like not being like not worrying about what other people say. Like I feel like you like a lot of people should just encourage that, because a lot of people are just quiet and just sit in the back. And there's a lot of people that want to lead, but they're scared of what other people like have to say. So I feel like you should just like somebody should just speak out and let people know like it doesn't matter what other people say, because just because they're the ones speaking out, it could be people in the background that's actually like listening to you and hearing you out and like wanting to hear your voice.
Excellent. What do you think, Ayana?
I feel as though most of these things should start in the household. Growing up, parents should put knowledge into their kids before they have to be out in the real world. Because a lot of things happen with our generation because some parents don't really teach them what they're supposed to be taught. And so they just go out just not really thinking and just doing whatever because they weren't raised to have as much knowledge. So,
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And you just brought me to my next question. So a lot of this does need to be taught at home. We know that. That's that's where we are. We need our guardians, our parents, our caretakers to be the ones to instill this knowledge in us and reinforce it. Where do you think the responsibility falls in schools on teaching stuff about teen dating violence?
the teachers, But I feel as though in this generation, like in school, they don't really teach us things that we should be taught before leaving out of like the 12th grade, your final, before like going to college stuff. Like they don't really teach us um, what should be taught, like health class. They don't really have that anymore. Um, yeah, they don't really like. Not a lot of schools just allow it, so it's just hard to really just
Mm-hmm.
understand stuff if it's not being taught in the household or at school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Kevin, what do you think?
Um, yeah, I agree. I feel like teachers and like schools should like teach teach people that because I mean, like she said, like people might not have that in the household. So I feel like if they have it in school, I mean, it'll be better and maybe they wanna speak out or maybe like they were born a leader and they like was born to do this, but I mean if they don't have any direction, how would they even like know that they can do it or know like know that like yeah, like you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all think it would be beneficial to have programs in the schools that teach healthy relationship behaviors?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I feel like people should teach that because I feel like the younger you are, like the better it'll be for you because if you get older, and I mean it's been happening since you were younger, like somebody said earlier, I mean you might just think it's normal, like you
Mm-hmm.
might just like be in that type of like environment forever because you don't know how to get treated right, you don't know what to even look for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As older people, we get stuck in our ways whenever we've grown up learning something. Ayanna, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I would just say that school should be that next step. Like I said before, if it's not being taught in the household, it would be a lot of different things better going on in the world. It won't be as much violence from our generation because they're being taught in school because they're
Mm-hmm.
not being taught in the household. It would just change a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, Morgan, Katisha, what are your thoughts?
I was gonna say I do think a collaboration would help between parents and schools. One thing, whenever I'm doing counseling or therapy with a child, I like to talk to the parents about some of the techniques that we're using in session so that they can mirror that at home. Because if I'm doing it in session and it's not being mirrored at home, what are we doing, right? So I think that there being a collaboration between, okay, this is what you learn at home, because when you learn it in more than one place, it seems to stick better, right? But I think there's a disconnect because some parents aren't talking about any of the healthy relationships or dating or any of those things in the home. Let's just be honest, it can be uncomfortable. Sometimes it can be not to everybody. Some people are very comfortable with having a conversation, and that's great, but some people aren't because it hasn't been mirrored to them. That may be one thing, or they're probably remembering whenever it was taught to them they didn't like that, so they don't want to put that on their kids, right? So there's different experiences that they may have had, but I do feel like it somewhere it does need to be some collaboration. um, but that can be hard because some parents don't want that.
Mhm.
There's pushback because they feel like their kids are too young to hear these things. And whenever they're in middle and high school, and one of y'all said it before, like it's getting younger because teen dating that wasn't a statement that I heard in middle and high school. I'm pretty sure that there was some teen dating violence in my school and high school. Definitely. When I think back on some relationships and some things that I heard or seen, there was, but it wasn't a focus, right? So yeah, it's definitely getting younger. It's in middle school, God forbid it become in elementary school, right? Kids are knowing things that I didn't learn about until I was junior, senior in high school they know about now. So I do think there needs to be some collaboration. involved. And also, yeah, if they're not learning it at home, why not teach it in schools? We used to have a health education in schools. There used to be in some schools sex education and things like that, but that's touching and stepping on toes. So I'm not naive to think that there's going to be some pushback, but I do agree that it does need to happen in the home and in the school.
So I'm going to add to that. So Morgan's like, yes, a collaboration, right, between the home and the school. Well, the reality is that not everyone has someone at home for there to be that collaboration, right? So I think that it is the school taking a step back to see what the data is telling us, and what these numbers look like and how it's affecting our teens, right? I know that the schools have like advisory periods, right? They have student support counselors on campus, right? So I feel like there is room and space for it to be done. Like, do we take this 15 minutes of this 30-minute advisory period and then do we talk about teen dating violence, right? Like, is that where we start to raise awareness? Because not everyone has someone at home that could be a part of that collaboration.
Right. And that's what I was saying. I feel like it should definitely be in the schools because not everybody's comfortable with talking about it, or not everybody's they're just not going to. Some parents aren't, not every parent is present. So yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Thank you for all of y'all's insight on that. And me being outreach, education, and prevention. I wanted to get everybody's insight on that. I wanted to hear what y'all think about it. What do y'all think that we've kind of touched on this, but I wanted to address the specific question. What do you think these days dating expectations are? What are the expectations whenever you get into a relationship with somebody? I want to hear from the younger people standpoint and from more our age. Morgan and Katisha.
I feel like the expectations have been like set higher. Like even like we're teens and being in a relationship, like the girl expects you to pay for everything and all of this nowadays, and it's like I'm a teenager, like I'm not, like, you know what I'm trying to say, like they expect you to be grown at such a young age when you still trying to figure out your own self. I feel like it has been like the bar has been set higher like nowadays because it's so easy to make money. It's so easy to make money now, so people think everybody has money, and that's just not how it works.
Oh yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because a lot of times, what we're seeing is boys will go buy a girl something and be like, okay, well, now you have to date me. Like that sense of entitlement. But we haven't been looking so much at the other side of things, that the girls are expecting the boys to pay for everything. And you're right. You're like, I'm a teenager. Where do you want me to get this money from exactly to pay for all this stuff that you want? So I'm really glad that you brought that up. Thank you, Kevin. What you got?
Yeah, the expectations are like, I'll speak for on my age group girls. They want like what they said, they want your location, they want they just pay for everything. They don't want you talking to anybody else. It's just a lot of expectations going in the wrong way. Basically it's just a lot of stuff going in the wrong way.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree with her. Like the expectation have been set high. Like when she talk about locations and all that stuff, that goes back to social media. Like social media and wanting, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. And like the expectation been set real high because everybody's on social media nowadays wanting like their favorite celebrity and all that. And it's like not everybody has your favorite celebrity type of money to do all of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's true. And I was gonna say, on the other side of that, like the guys, there is this expectation that if guys are paying for this and doing all of this and the flowers and the gifts and the jewelry and all that stuff, that the girl's expected to have sex with the guy. Like, I'm doing this, so give me this, or other things where the girl doesn't feel like she wants to, but she feels pressured to. Um, and I was going to ask, and this is kind of brought up this question because music has an influence on teen dating as well. A lot of the music that's coming out is completely different from whenever I was growing up. Everything's, a lot of music is very explicit. And it's saying, the lyrics are saying exactly what they want, when they want it, and how they want it, right? So I wanted to like chime in and I actually ask if y'all feel like, and I know Melissa, this is your panel, I'm sorry, but I
No,
was
go
really
ahead.
curious about what y'all felt like music's influence was on teen dating. Do y'all feel like it has an influence on the expectations around teen dating?
I feel like it does. Like, and like going back to social media, I mean, like you want to be like your favorite celebrity. I mean, a lot of people want to be like their favorite artist. So I
Mhm.
mean, hearing them like do all of this, they think that it's okay. Like, oh, like he does all of this. I'm expecting you to do all of this when everybody's different, and like also you don't know his type of situation. I mean, like a lot of people like try to be somebody when you just need to like be yourself. Like, don't be like your favorite rapper or favorite celebrity. Like, you just need to be yourself. So I do feel like it has like a lot of music nowadays have an effect on like people.
Mhm.
Yeah. Ayana, do you have thoughts on it?
Yeah, I definitely agree with him. Basically, just what they're hearing, and they think it's what's supposed to happen because that's what their role model is saying. So they're gonna
Mhm.
try to do what they do, and not really just think like this might be the wrong way. And most of the time, it is the wrong way. So just seeing your role model, somebody you look up to, do it and say it, that just makes them want to follow after them.
Yeah, I agree. And also like you don't know how your favorite like rapper or artist is getting that, because I mean, like I said, like he has a like they have a lot of money, and sometimes like it's not even like sometimes like females like or even males like they do it for the money. So it might be like real, like what they're saying, like yeah, it's happening, but it's nothing like real. Like it's always, oh, I'm gonna do this to try to get this up out of them. And when you trying to do that when you're a teenager, I mean, like you really have nothing to give them. So if you try to do what your favorite artist try to do, I mean, the other person is just gonna look at you like no, like
Mhm.
that's not how it goes. Because I mean, the artist or celebrity, like they have something to give to the other. Like, like it's just, I mean, you can. It's two different lifestyles, so you
Mm-hmm.
can just like expect that to happen with you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm over here taking notes. Like, y'all have some really good insight on this stuff. Okay, so we just have a few minutes left, and I have one more question for y'all, for everybody. What, we've been talking about how to recognize these things, some the conversations that need to be had around this issue. What we kind of said at the beginning was we need people to walk away with some action items. So, what are some action items we can walk away with? What is something that you're going to walk away with today that you're actually going to implement
One
to create safe communities?
one thing I would like I'm gonna take away from this is like letting people know it's not like lame, or don't be scared to like stand out and be a leader and set your own trail and
Mm-hmm.
let people follow you in the right direction, in the right way, because it's like in the world today it's a lot of bad stuff happening, and it's coming from the youth. So I mean, the only way it's going to change is the youth like changing it. And if you see something, like if I see something that's like not right, I'm not gonna be afraid or scared to speak up. Like I'm gonna speak up and let them know like that's not the right way to do it. Like you have to treat them right. You have to do this, do that. Like just be an example and be a leader and not be afraid of what other people have to say about me.
I like that.
Yeah, I actually gained a lot from this. But I will start giving out more advice, even to those who I don't know. Try to help, try to just like guide them in the right way. Um, and like just be myself. Just basically what all was said in here. Just don't let it happen, and just yeah, really just trying to help more people out, even if I don't know them.
Awesome. So, what is something that you are going to challenge your peers to do after talking about this tonight?
One thing I'm gonna challenge my peers to do is if something's going wrong in your relationship, or if you see a relationship that's like not healthy, like you should either seek help or you should get the person that you see to seek help. And if you see that it's an abusive relationship or if you getting abused, like you can always like contact the police, even if you don't have family members or nobody to talk to. The police will help you with like the situation that you need to be handled.
Awesome. And what are you going to challenge your peers to do?
I would say um, try to go talking to their parents more, or just like building that relationship with their parents to be able to talk to them more. Because, like, I forgot who said it, but your parents are probably one of the closest people that's in your life, one of the closest people to you. So just try to seek help, listen more, communicate more, and just get better within yourself and not keep making the same mistakes. Try to just keep thriving and just go down the right path.
Excellent
Also,
advice. Go ahead.
don't be afraid to leave, especially like if it happens the first time, it's gonna happen again. So don't be afraid to leave. And a lot of people stay in like a toxic relationship because they don't want to be alone. And I feel like before you even get in a relationship, you gotta love yourself first. It's not always bad to be alone. Sometimes you need that to find yourself. So I feel like don't be afraid to be alone. And if somebody's like hurting you, emotional, verbal, like abusive, physically or anything, like don't be afraid to leave. Because that's gonna be the best option for you, because it's only gonna get worse. Because the more they do it, the more comfortable they get, and
Mm-hmm.
it might end up in them killing you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I'm glad that you brought that up. In saying that, leave if it's abusive, make sure that you are leaving safely. Make sure that you have a safety plan in place before leaving. So that's why agencies like ours are around. So we can help them safety plan so they can leave safely. Because you're right, these abusive relationships can escalate to the point of death, and we don't want that happening. So that's what we are around for, is to help people safety plan, to make sure that they are getting out of that situation and they're staying safe while doing it. All right, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. This has really been insightful. I love hearing from young people how you view things around teen dating violence. You guys are the future leaders of the world.
Mhm.
Y'all are, I see y'all being like, yeah, I see y'all being president one day. Actually, I kind of wish that y'all are going to be president one day because I love your insight. Love your insight. But you don't have to be. You can still be a leader and have a lot of influence on people.
Yes.
And so we want to influence more young people to be leaders just like y'all. So again, I do want to thank y'all. It is 7:30, so I just want to go around one more time. If anybody has any final closing thoughts, let's hear them.
I think I just want to say, we talk about being leaders, right, and stepping up. So you showing up and being present on this platform today is a part of that advocacy work, right? So we appreciate you for being here, for using your voices and sharing with us, because we need to hear it from the teens who are actually in the situations or have friends in the situations, right? So we appreciate you for being here and being a voice.
Yes, thank you. I mirror everything that Katisha just said. I believe that y'all are literally the faces of talk about it, be about it, because y'all are making a stand, just being here today and giving your insight. So we appreciate it. Thank you both. And I look forward to seeing what y'all are going to do in the future. Remember me when y'all become president.
Ayana, Kevin, y'all have some final closing thoughts?
No, I just thank y'all.
Oh, go.
I just want to thank y'all for allowing me to be share my voice, and I had a really good time talking with y'all today.
Yay!
Well, we definitely enjoyed having you.
Yes.
All right, Ayana, go ahead.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank y'all for having me. I was kind of nervous at first doing this, but as we start talking, I got more comfortable. But I feel like this kind of makes me want to change what I want to do in the future, because I want to be a pediatric nurse. So I want to work with kids, but like now I want to like kind of get into like that therapy type and just like be the voice for the kids and people my age. So yeah, it's definitely coming into my mind now.
That is I know that Katisha and Morgan are doing a little happy dance right now. Well, yes, y'all had, like I said, y'all had some amazing insight. Thank you all so much. And hopefully we can have you back next year.
Yes.
And thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.